Welcome to the RPO College Football Podcast. I'm your boy Jerome Jones. We got my man Ray Roberts over here. How you doing, Ray?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Happy New Year's, everybody, and welcome to a double edition because we were doing our RPO podcast on Wednesday. So if you haven't seen the Air It Out podcast, those guys had a fun podcast. It just got off. So if you want to go watch that, go on our YouTube channel and go watch that live. But we talking about college football right now because we got some playoff games coming in tomorrow. You're seeing me with my Michigan hat on. I'm very excited about this. Michigan versus Georgia. I'm down here in Georgia now, so you know I'm talking all type of mess to my Georgia fans right now. But I'm super excited right now. Ray, are you excited right now?
I am. I'd be more excited if Notre Dame was included in them top four, but I'm as excited as I can be since they're not. So,
man, this is the first time I get to see my Michigan in a playoff system like this. So I'm very excited to see this. I know right now, obviously you guys know we are live, so we have live comments. So if you want to talk, put your comments in there. Please put your comments right in there. We will answer them live. Also, while we are live, there are two current games going on right now. You got the Tennessee game versus Purdue. So that game right now is tied and going into overtime. So we'll keep you updated on that as that's going. And as well as the Michigan State versus Pitt game, which Pitt actually just got a touchdown, tying it up 7-7. So that game is tied as well. So we keep you guys updated on what's going on in those games. But we here to talk about some playoffs right now, Ray. I'm super excited, like I just said. Man, Michigan, Georgia, Alabama, Cincinnati. Before we get into what we think about those games, which one of those games are you more excited to see?
Michigan State, Michigan, Georgia.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, I'm a Michigan fan. I'm more excited to see that, but I am intrigued to see how the Cincinnati plays. I mean,
I am also. I think I'm honestly hoping that it's a close game. I don't think it will be, but I'm hoping it is.
Yeah, and I would love to see Cincinnati because Cincinnati's team been just getting downplayed all year. Like they didn't really play nobody, only played Notre Dame. Who they really played. Did they deserve to be in the playoffs? I want to see them hold up against one of the NCAA's best, which is Alabama. I mean, we all know they're the best ones for the last 20 years, maybe even longer than that. So I want to see how they match up against them. Are they going to struggle, or is it going to be a blowout? I really don't hope it's a blowout. We're going to get into our game picks in a second, but and who we think is going to win. But I hope it's not a blowout. I hope it's a competitive game. I want to see what these Cincinnati guys do. I mean, if they keep the game competitive, all hats off to Cincinnati, in my opinion.
I agree. I just hope that they can keep it close. I don't know how to feel about the game, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Usually, you would know by now what kind of Alabama team you're going to see. And we saw a very good Alabama game in the last game. But we've seen an inconsistent Alabama team most of the season, so we'll see.
Definitely. No, 100% agree. Obviously, tomorrow's game, which is New Year's Eve, Cincinnati versus Alabama, 1 versus 4. Alabama is favored by 3.5, though. Do you
13,
justify that?
13 and a half.
13.5. Do you justify? What did I say? 14?
You said 3.5.
13. I meant to say 13. 13.5. There. Yeah, so let's get into our game picks. Right, who are you taking in that game? The 3:30 game tomorrow.
I'm taking Alabama to win the game. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
If I had to pick the line, I would probably take Alabama to cover the line too, even though I'm hoping they don't. So
I'm agreeing with you 100%. Again, like I said earlier, I hope that Cincinnati at least piss up a fight. I don't want them to get blown out. I hope it's a good game. I think Alabama's still going to win. I hope it's only like a 7-point, 3-point game. That will make it so much more fascinating. And that will pit a lot of Cincinnati boost up. Like, people will start looking at Cincinnati in a different light if that happens.
Agreed. And it also would make it next year people, because people always want to say, oh, well, does this team really belong there? Well, if Cincinnati plays well tomorrow, maybe people will stop asking that question and just look at what they did during the season and not only look at the competition they're playing against. I mean, like I said, Cincinnati did not have a great schedule, but they did handle Notre Dame. The first half of the Notre Dame game that they played was probably Notre Dame's worst half of football. And I want to give Cincinnati some credit for that. So,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can't take credit from what they did. But
so,
let's talk about the Heisman winner, Bryce Young. What's some of your expectations from this guy? Do you think he's gonna have to carry this team? He's been doing the last couple of games. What's your take on this? I know he struggled a little bit against Auburn, though.
yes, he did struggle. I think the whole team struggled against Auburn. The offensive line did not have a great game against Auburn.
Yeah,
I think that Chase Young is going to be the difference maker in this game. I think he is. I mean, like as advertised, the best.
You said Chase. You said Chase. I caught you.
I'm sorry. Won the Heisman for a reason. So
No, I agree. I think I'm gonna give him like a 3-touchdown game. I think he can capable of that. This is a really good defense, though. Cincinnati's defense has been carrying this Cincinnati team more than their offense. I like their corner. Garner.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, him and the other guy too. Sauce Garner. There you go.
Yeah.
Really, really good defensive backs. I'm a DB. I love my defensive backs.
That's my fear though, because they are a team who's reliant more on their defensive backfield. Yeah. And you know how I feel about not playing in trenches, so if you can't win in the trenches, dude, you can't win the game. That's all there is to it. Sorry.
My G's.
But hey, I always speak the truth, brother. If I can't win up front, I can't win. Sorry.
I agree with that philosophy, though. I do. I'm not gonna take that away from you. But all right. So obviously, on the opposite side, you got Desmond Ridder. Who you expect from him in this game? I know some people are really high on him. Some people are very low. There's not no really middle ground with Desmond. I mean, some people think he can be a late first-round pick. Some people think he's a third-round pick. I mean, what is your take on how he's gonna play out in this game?
I think he's a third-round pick. I think he'll wind up getting taken in the second round because he's a quarterback. Mm-hmm. I think he's a good athlete with some arm talent. Mm-hmm. I think that if I were them, I would try to spread them out and try to create running lanes for the running backs and the quarterback, and then take some shots over the top against Alabama. Alabama's secondary is not great, but they're well coached.
Yeah.
And I need to use a quarterback's athleticism to create running lanes for my running backs. I need to keep Alabama's quarterback off the field. So to me, that is the key. If Cincinnati can maintain time of possession, I know this is every week against Alabama, but if they can maintain time of possession and make some big plays out of the running game, not the passing game, the running game, maybe they can keep it close.
Ray, it's interesting you said that because you said that you feel like Reddick is going to be a third-round pick to go in the second-round pick. And I know we're not talking draft picks, but I want to kind of put this narrative together that was how I felt about Jalen Hurts, where I thought he was like a third-round pick. He got taken in the second-round pick because, yeah, he's athletic, blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Eagles put him in the game, and they tried to use him as a passer, and it didn't work out. And now they're using him like with the run. Now the Eagles became a more running team. Jalen Hurts been more of a play action type of player, and I think you can do the same thing with Riddick in this game, and that's why I put this together because if you do that with Riddick in this game, I think that he can you will have success in the at least in offense, play really good defense, play run the game, play off the play action, and let Riddick do his thing with his legs, and play action, throw it deep sometimes. But I think if you try to do it like the Eagles started off this year with him just passing, I think you're setting yourself up for success. Disaster.
I just think that Alabama's secondary will come out ready to play.
Johnny Dean, what's up, my man? Thanks for coming in here. We're doing great tonight. Hope we have a happy New Year's, man. Enjoy some college football. I know some of it is on right now, so definitely enjoy that. If you want to listen to us in the background, that'd be great as well. Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Ray.
Again, I think that if you come out there and try to throw the ball too much, you're doing what Alabama's going to come out there and show you different fronts and hope that you're going to try to throw the ball over the top because then they're going to disguise the secondary, probably show man, play zone, vice versa. I would not want to do that. I'd try to run the ball, and I would try to establish the run often and early, and I would just I would be relentless with it. I wouldn't give up on it, and that includes the quarterback. because Ritter is a good quarterback. He's a good, solid arm. But his athleticism is what makes him a little bit different than other quarterbacks Alabama's played against.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, if you look at how bad Georgia was, Georgia's really struggled because their quarterback's not athletic and he's not a pocket passer. I hate to say it, he's a prototype what Alabama wants to do. Take advantage of a guy who's not a great athlete and not a great passer. Yeah. But Ritter is a good passer and he's a good athlete. So again, I would try to establish a running game and take some shots over the top when I had a chance. Like I like the Pierce kid from Cincinnati. He's a good possession type kid. If you get some one-on-one coverages with him, he throw the ball up, he can make plays for you. But that will come after you establish that you can run the ball a little bit against Alabama's front.
Yeah, I personally think Pierce is their best offensive weapon. I really do. So
I like him. Believe it or not, he's a 6th or 7th round pick because of the depth of wide receiver this year. But I do like him.
I mean, it's been like that the last couple of years with the wide receivers, man.
It has. The wide receiver depth the last 2 years has been crazy, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, you see, I like Gabriel Davis from the Bills, and he was a 5th round, 6th round pick, something like that. So
yeah, I mean, you see a lot of these kids from. I mean, look at the kid that transferred to Alabama from Ohio State. I mean, how often does that happen? Williams. And he's just kid's a stud. I mean, he's just ridiculous how good they are. And talk about Alabama every year, man. They just find a ways to put more good players out there.
Oh, 100%.
The difference is their defense is not great this year. It's not. Their secondary is improved, but it's not great. Their front is not bad, but they don't have the big, gigantic run stoppers. They're a little bit more of a 1 gap, maybe a 2 gap at times where you got to double cover one of their interior guys. So I would try to double cover their ends and try to run right at them. Try to keep them out of the picture. Maybe just let my wide receivers run some crossing patterns to take the zone coverage away and let my quarterback just tuck and run with it every once in a while. Throw a little screen pass, a flanker screen, something that's going to contradict because you know what's going to happen. They're going to try to, if you show that you're going to run the ball, they're going to drop into a zone.
Yeah,
because that's what Alabama does. They drop into zones if you try to establish a run, because then they'll bring more guys up and play zone in the back. Yeah, if they do that and you can get Pierce over the top, I could see that doing something. But again, you have to. And I'm not saying 4 or 5 yards of carry. I'm saying 3.5. 3, almost 4. If you can
give up on it too. That's the thing.
You want to be 3rd and 4 or less come 3rd downs. If you go 3rd and long against Alabama, the game's over. So
Johnny says I'm watching the trenches this year. Quarterbacks is iffy. I like Pickett, but but in a late 1st round, early mid 2nd round. I agree. It's definitely a interesting year as far as draft prospects. We're definitely going to be talking about a lot more in draft prospects. But before we continue with that, I just want to give you guys an update on the games. Both games are still tied right now. Tennessee and Purdue went into overtime. Tennessee started off with the ball, did not do nothing with them. So now Purdue has a chance to win the game at the end. So we'll see how that goes. As far as the Pittsburgh versus Michigan State game, Michigan State is they're both tied. Michigan State is in pursuit to get in the touchdown right now. So
they're 3rd and 8. It's 3rd and 8 at the Pittsburgh 11. So
yes, sir. So they might be scoring right here. So we'll keep you guys updated as much as we can. We appreciate everybody watching us live. And again, if you are watching live, put your comments in here what you think about these both games. Let's get into my team. Michigan versus Georgia. Let me get my lines real quick because I know our lines are usually different sometimes here and there. But we got Georgia is favored by 7.5. Ray. Now I know unless you changed your mind, I know you don't agree with that because you had a very, very hot take a few weeks ago about this game. So I'm gonna let you start off. What do you think about the game? Who's winning this game?
I think that I'm going to say I'm rooting for Michigan to win the game, which I know sounds crazy to people that know me because they know how much I dislike Michigan. But I don't believe
you guys either.
Go ahead. I don't believe that Georgia should be in the playoffs right now, so I'm hoping they get knocked out early. I believe that Michigan's defensive front could cause them havoc. If they get pressure to the quarterback, they can win the game. I'm going to pick them to win the game, even though the line scares me a little bit. I just don't believe in Georgia or their quarterback anymore. I don't. That's all there is to it.
Wow. My man Johnny Dean said, "Go blue, go blue." Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get those go blues in the chat right here. If you're watching this, put that go blue in there. Appreciate that, guys. But I'm going to get on you a little bit, Red, because a few weeks ago, and hey, things change. A few weeks later, the hype comes down a little bit, things like that. But Ray, a few weeks ago, and I remember this vividly, you said that this is no contest. Michigan's gonna blow them out. What changed?
No, I said they would beat them by at least 2 scores.
Okay, so what changed your tune? What make you a little scared?
The line still scares me.
Okay.
Yeah, I am with the lines, Jerome. The lines don't lie to me, but this line is lying to me. So honestly, I think the same thing with a little bit with the Alabama line. If you wanted anybody to vote for Cincinnati, you had to, bet for Cincinnati, you had to make it a high line, because if not, they wouldn't have touched them.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I mean, now you have a high line in both games. You got to remember, Georgia was the number 1 team until they played Alabama, and that stays in the polls. What we also have to remember is, and this is bad to admit to, but the guys that make these polls and judge don't watch the games, dude. They look at the final scores. Okay, they don't watch the games. I think Michigan's a better team than Georgia, and I think they'll beat them. But do I get a little bit am I a little afraid of Harbaugh? Yeah, I think he has a tendency to do dumb things sometimes in games where he feels like he has a little bit of an underdog. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I hope he goes out there with the same mentality he did against Ohio State. If they play in this game the way they played against Ohio State, they'll win by 10 points.
Yeah.
If they go out there and do what they did against Michigan State, where they're changing quarterbacks and Jim Harbaugh looks a little tight, that's where the line scares me.
Yeah. So this is what I'm going to say about this game, because Johnny Dean said the Purdue Tennessee game was crazy. Their defensive coordinator out due to COVID on this game. I get you saying, that was funny. Yeah. So let me see the results real quick. All right, Purdue
148-45.
Just got 3. So, did Tennessee get it back? Oh, so I'm sorry. Maybe I misspoke earlier. I'm looking at it through. I'm not watching the actual game. I'm actually watching the score. So I'm guessing that Purdue got the ball. This must be second overtime, if I'm not guessing. If I'm not mistaken.
It was, because there was no time left in the first overtime. So what happened was they both touched the ball in the first overtime. So whoever scores wins that after that.
Gotcha. So that means that
basically it was sudden death overtime. Once they both touch the ball, it basically goes to sudden death overtime.
Definitely. And Johnny, I just noticed it right before you put it in there. That was Remy. Thank you, Remy, for being in here. We always appreciate you being in here. I apologize for that. Johnny, thanks for correcting me. And Remy also says first overtime Tennessee did not cover and convert on 4th down. So yeah, so now Tennessee has the ball. They have a chance to tie the ball or win if they get the touchdown. All right. Back to my Georgia versus Michigan game. I'm gonna say I think Michigan's gonna win. Obviously, I think it's gonna be a tight game. I like this game because it's fairly evenly matched, except Michigan's front game is a lot more superior than Georgia's. So I think Michigan's defense is a lot better than people think. A lot better. And I would pit them like number 3 defense, because I think that I'll pick Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, in my opinion. At least right now. I know Cincinnati has a really good defense, but I think Michigan's defense is really, really good, and they've proven it to me. You got the 2 really good pass rushers. The linebackers are probably their weakest point, which I think are solid linebackers, actually. They just get overlooked because defensive ends are really good. Secondary's always been good for years, and then our D tackles are solid guys down there. So I think that our defense is really, really good, especially with Aiden Hutchinson leading the way down there. Odabo just killing it down there. I love our defensive ends, which is making it easier for our DBs. I do think that this game's closer, and I think that if Michigan can get at least 3.5 to 4 yards per carry, because Michigan been running about like 6 to 7 yards per carry. If they could get at least around like 4-ish yards per carry, I think it's Michigan's game.
I'm going to be honest with you, Jerome. I think this is I think that you beat Georgia the exact opposite as Cincinnati plays against Alabama. I think Michigan wants to come out throwing the ball, establish that they can throw the ball, and then rob off of that.
I think you got to stay with your identity, man. I mean,
I think if you come out there and try to just run the ball against Georgia, you're playing into the strengths of their defense. Go over the top, take advantage of some poor cornerback play.
I agree.
And then run the ball once you get the lead.
Right. I agree with you, but I know why you're saying that, and I would not run up the middle. I wouldn't do.
I'm not running up the middle. I'm not saying abandon the run in the first half.
No. I know what you're saying.
I'm saying look for spread guys out a little bit. If you get the right look in the secondary, take a shot. If not, at least you spread out their defensive line. It gives you holes to run around off tackle, either side, because their ends in Georgia are not great. So if you push on them and it can get some running lanes to the outside, don't run up the middle because that's Georgia's strength. Their defensive interior guys are really good. So you want to run off tackle. And like I said, if you get a nice look in the secondary where you have one of your receivers matched up against someone you think they can make a dub. Because if you remember, Alabama killed Georgia on double moves.
Yeah.
Killed them on double moves. They didn't run the ball hardly at all against Georgia.
Yeah, you're right.
The double moves in the secondary, they took advantage of not even poor cornerback play, not ready for the double moves. Yeah, they were hoping that Alabama was going to run the ball because they weren't ready for them to throw the ball against them.
I 100% agree with you, except that Alabama has way better receivers. Their 3 receivers are really good.
They do. That's why I don't want to just take a blind shot just because I have single coverage. I want to identify who's Georgia's 3rd or 4th defense cornerbacks are, spread them out and go after those guys.
Yeah, because Michigan got some good receivers, but they're all young. They're really fast, young guys, so they don't have a lot of experience. And I think they're going to be better when a year or two later. I think this core group, we're going to be talking about them as well as a good receiver group. But right now, it's all young and inexperienced, where I think that this is a game where you can have Blake Corum as the featured running back in this one. I love Haskins. I think he's a tough guy, but this is you got a Blake Corum who is coming off of an injury. He should be healthy now with 3 weeks to rest and coming in hungry. He haven't played much in the last few games. Even in his games where he was injured, this guy was busting off like I think that run was like 46 yards, something like that. So imagine him being healthier. He's the guy that you want to put on the edge on running. I think he's going to have a good time. Let's get some of these comments real quick. Remy says, do Cincinnati stand a chance? I think they can. I think they can stand a chance. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they can keep the game at least interesting. At least I'm hoping. I just don't think it's going to be a blow. We want to answer that, right?
A chance to keep it close, maybe, possibly. Chance to win the game, probably not, dude.
Doubtful.
Again, I'll tell people all the time, I'll be happy that if I'm wrong. Alabama throws the ball. Turnovers. If Cincinnati can create turnovers, they have a shot. The problem is that, how much will they have to get ahead of Alabama in the first half, even if Alabama does turn the ball over? Because the one thing about Cincinnati is they gave Notre Dame chances in the second half to come back, and Notre Dame didn't get it done. But we know early in the year, Notre Dame's offensive line was playing pretty badly. And their quarterbacks were inconsistent early in the year too. And part of that is hand-to-hand play. Offensive line is not great. Quarterbacks not getting enough time. Things aren't going right. That's not going to be the case with Alabama. If you give them breath, if you give them life, they're going to beat you. So you have to. The problem is, can they go out there and play a good half of football against them? Absolutely. Can they sustain it and beat Alabama? Not probably not.
Definitely. Johnny says, I still think Georgia just choked their big moment. They should have beaten Alabama, but it's football. If they hesitant against Michigan, the results will could look the same. I agree with that. I mean, Kirby Smart be doing some weird stuff sometimes. He has some weird calls sometimes. So I can see that, but I'm not banking on that as like, oh yeah, that's why Michigan's gonna win. I don't like doing that because he's still a college coach. So I'm not gonna bank on that as a
only thing is about that statement is they should have beaten Alabama. No, they shouldn't have. They got throttled that first half of that game. Man.
Oh yeah.
Let's not say that should. So would you have liked to? Yes, I would have liked Georgia to have beaten Alabama too, because Notre Dame be in the playoffs right now, but it didn't happen. Okay.
Of course, I may over adjusting my own bias against Georgia and Bama both. I agree with you, Johnny. I mean, I don't hate Georgia, but I'm not the biggest Georgia fan. I don't like Alabama, so and then Johnny says that Michigan has to lean into their trenches for this game. That's a good point because Michigan got a really good offensive line. They really do, and I think you have to at least test it out. I think early on, I think you should start running, and then if it's not really working, use the pass. I mean, I get what you're saying, Ray, because Georgia was very, very open to the pass against Alabama, but it's a difference. I think Michigan's offense is completely the opposite of Georgia. I mean, Bama. So that's just my take on that. But we're going to move on to some other games because these games we can talk about all day. I hope you guys enjoy those games. They're going to be very fun. And when we come back next year, because next week is next year, we're definitely going to be talking about those games and see who's in those finals. But we do have some games that are going to be played after that game, which I think is silly. I don't like that. That's just my opinion. Get all the bowl games out the way and then do the playoff games. Or, I don't know, do something. I don't like how they have the games afterwards. It's not the same. You don't get the
Well,
same
I can tell you why they do it, Jerome, because if they played the playoff games last, no one would pay attention to the other games.
I don't think anybody will pay attention to these games, though. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway.
Well, of course. That's why where I disagree was I would have had the two playoff games with Notre Dame and Oklahoma State and Penn State, Arkansas, or Ohio State, Utah, because that would have been four good games. Where they screwed up the playoffs, and then they put like four games that no one really cares about after that.
Yeah, like they should pick the really good games, the good matchups, like Utah, Ohio State. Put that in the game right before the playoff game, and pick two games out. So make one Friday and one Saturday, and they should do it like that.
Correct.
Yay, Ray, we should be on a committee. We should be on a committee.
No, we're not. Well, I may be old and white enough, but you're not, dude. Gotta remember this. No matter what you're talking about, if it's college football or if it's politics, there's always some white curmudgeon white guy leading everything, man.
Anyway,
man, it's true. You watch Remember the Titans, right, dude? It wasn't the guys that should have been in charge of the league. It was the old white guys that were racist that were running everything, right? That's how it is, man.
Go blue. Let's talk about these games. Jerome said, Johnny says, good idea, Jerome. Thank you. He like, let me put it on the screen. Thank you, Johnny. I thank you for agreeing with me. See, this is why I should be on a committee. Johnny's on my side. All right. Let's talk about these games after the first playoff games. Let's talk about the first one. Penn State versus Arkansas. Penn State is favored by 2.5. Who are you taking in that one, Rick?
I'm taking Penn State in the game. I actually have it's a 4-point line now. It changed from 2 to 4 in the last couple of days. Right. So that alone would make me take Penn State, and I'm going to just root for Penn State to win the game. I don't have bias towards Penn State anymore like I used to when I was younger. But I'm rooting for Penn State to win the game. So
Definitely. All right, before I get to my picks, just want to let you guys know that the final score of the Purdue Tennessee game is 48-45. Purdue wins the Music City Bowl. They won in overtime. Tennessee cannot score after Penn State got that. As far as the Michigan State game versus Pittsburgh, Michigan State got the field goal. They didn't get a touchdown, so it's 10-7 right now. Michigan State got the ball back. Again, we are live right now, so you guys are hearing it live. So you will, we will give you updates throughout this podcast. But to get to my pick, I'm taking Penn State as well. Although Arkansas is favorite, I do like Arkansas. I've been riding on the Arkansas train since mid-season, since I've seen they've been balling out a little bit. Took a little bit of a nosedive at the end, but I think that Penn State is the better team. I think they got a better defense. And as long as Penn State's offense stays a course, I think they will be good. Clifford is staying at Penn State again. You guys don't listen to this podcast. You already know that I'm not a big Clifford fan, but he does have some great weapons. He can get hot at times. So I think Penn State is going to be the better team. So I'm gonna do that. Real quick, Johnny says that who actually is going to be playing in these games? Who is going to be players in these games? Okay. Good question.
Does he mean like COVID related?
Not sure. What do you mean by that, Johnny? Let me know in the comment section. He says, "Come on, State." He says, "Go Green." Sorry, Jerome. I'm okay with them winning this one. I'm okay. I'm not a Michigan State fan, obviously, but I'm okay with them winning this game. I do think they are going to win this game because Kenny Pickett's not in this game. So, I mean, hey, Pittsburgh 7-10 right now. It's still early in the game. You never know. But I do think that, Pittsburgh don't have their quarterback. So how can they win? That's just me. But anyway, we're not talking about the game. Let's get to our next game. Definitely get on that one. Next game we're going to talk about is Iowa versus Kentucky. Kentucky is favored by 3. Ray, who taking in that one?
You know what? I'm going to take Iowa in that game.
What? Ray, I'm actually surprised in that. All year you've been going against Iowa.
I have. I don't know, Jerome. I think
against the spread. Wow.
I just think they're a more physical team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I just think they'll be more ready to play. That's all. I actually have Iowa with a 1.5 line right now. So
definitely. Oh, Johnny says no. So many players are opting out. You can't keep up with who's playing, and that's the big deciding factor in picking them.
Well, no, I agree with that. Like Kenny Pickett not playing for his team, and I understand the whole draft process, but I also think if it wasn't for the University of Pittsburgh, no one knew who Kenny Pickett is right now. So maybe he should play the game. So that's all.
I mean, yeah,
that's all.
I get it too because Kenny Pickett could be a high first round.
I'm glad for him. I really am.
I am too.
I wish I'm not glad. I'm not glad for University of Pittsburgh that he's not playing, but I'm glad for him he's going to be. And besides, and then we're not going to get into the quarterbacks now. Kenny Pickett should not be taken before the second or third round either. So
I agree, but he's
8-inch hands.
That'd be the best one.
The smallest recorded hands of any quarterback that's ever played in college football to enter the draft. That's a fact. 8.25 hands. These smallest hands of any quarterback ever played. Draftable quarterback coming into the NFL. 8.25 hands.
You know what that tells me, right?
That ball security could be a problem.
Fumbles.
Yes, exactly.
Well, we'll see.
And you know what? Let's not worry about the team that put me in the draft prospect. Let's worry about the draft prospects.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, it just goes back to the whole loyalty thing. That's why if I'm a player, as a fan, I don't want to hear players talk about loyalty anymore. There is no such thing unless you go to a big-time program. And what are big-time programs? I guess Pitt's not a big-time program anymore. I don't know. I guess not. Unless you go to a big-time program and you're not going to be in the playoffs, you could just opt out.
Yeah.
Like, how would they like it if I opt out of their like me paying for their colleging?
Yeah.
How would they like it? Like, no, you know what? I've decided I want to do it now. You're out. Bye.
Yeah.
Take your 8.25-inch hands and go play somewhere else.
No, right? Very funny. All right.
Football is so different now than when I was younger, man.
It is. It is.
Guys, even college football players would run through a wall for their team. Now they just want to run through a book check, a checkbook.
Yeah, I agree with that. While I'm still on the topic, Johnny says I agree with Pickett and anyone else who opt out that are not playing in the championship game. I had quite a few friends who played. They had injuries during worthless bowl games that ended their careers playing them. I get it. I don't know. I'm kind
if bowl games are worthless, then why do they play them?
It's true. I hate it. I really do.
Okay, so here now we're gonna start playing. We're gonna start paying the players. Meanwhile, the one game a year where we get big time money, they're not gonna play in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I'm taking in this Iowa versus Kentucky game, money for the tuition. Yes, money for tuition. I'm going to take this is a hard one for me. I think I'm gonna take Kentucky. I just like how they've been playing this year. They were 9-3. Iowa were, I think Ray kind of convinced me. Iowa just been so inconsistent and like not as good as they were projecting as. I think I'll take Kentucky. I'm gonna take Kentucky, even though you're taking Iowa. So I'm going with the line, and Ray's going against the line, which is rare. Let's get to our next game. We're going to Oklahoma State versus Notre Dame. Ray, I already know you're taking Notre Dame. They're favored by 2. Why they're going to win this game?
Because finally we have a coach that's not going to coach scared. We have a coach that wants to be at Notre Dame. Apparently, it doesn't just want to use Notre Dame to reestablish how good of a coach he was. Like, man, I respect Brian Kelly. Owe him a lot of gratitude to him because Notre Dame's program when he went there, they were on some rough times. We had gone through a couple different coaches. It didn't look like we were going to reestablish the brand, however you want to put it. Brian Kelly helped us do that, and I don't even hold any ill will feelings towards him anymore. He brought Marcus Freeman in here, better recruiter, better coach, I believe. So we'll see what happens now. Good luck, Brian Kelly. I will not root for him, though.
Why would you?
Because I won't root for Nick Saban either.
Yeah.
Because I'm only loyal to my teams. Period.
I agree.
I'm not even.
I'm taking Notre Dame as well. Teams. I think that this defense is gonna run through the wall for their coach.
What's that?
I said that I'm taking Notre Dame. I think that this defense is gonna run through a wall. They're gonna play for him and think that he's the guy for them. He's their future coach, and they think that he's gonna be the guy. Oklahoma State, which I think is a good team. I just didn't think they're as talented as a team as I've been rooting for Oklahoma State all year. They're number 9 actually, but I just think that they don't match up with Notre Dame. Now Notre Dame has had a tendency to let up some stuff on defense. I will say that
they have, and I think that you're going to see their defense play better in this game than they have all year.
I hope so.
I think they're rested. I think they're ready to go.
I really do think that's the most disappointing thing about Notre Dame this year. I mean, one loss, yes, but they've been very disappointing as far as a defensive team. They've been having a lot of close games.
You know what, though, Jerome? Early in the season, yes, their defense struggled. Their offensive line struggled.
They got better.
They weren't playing complementary football on offense or defense.
Yeah.
But through the middle path of the season, they've done a lot better doing that. Their offensive line has found a little focus. Their defense has played really well, especially their secondary.
Yeah.
They've done enough things up front to get pressure to the quarterback and to at least play respectable against the run game. Every once in a while, they'll get gashed for yards here or there because they don't have a great front or a solid But I think they're going to be ready to play this game, and I think they're going to win. And Oklahoma State is a well-coached team, though. So I don't think that's going to play much into it. I think Notre Dame is a little bit more talented than them.
Exactly.
I think they are. So I think they'll win the game. I think it's going to be a good game, though.
I agree. I think it's going to be a good game as well. Let's do to our next game, which I think is going to be another good game. This is a game I'm going to be watching, obviously. And you know who I'm not rooting for. But Ohio State versus Utah. Ohio State is favored only by 4. Right? Who taking this one?
Taking Ohio State. I still think offensively they're a more talented team.
Yeah.
Utah is probably I don't know if they have more talent on defense. Their defense plays better, more consistent football, but I don't know if they're more talented. I just think they play a better scheme, or maybe I don't even want to say they're a better coach. I just think they know their defense has to carry them. Where Ohio State is an offensive team who should play better defense than they do, really. So
definitely. I'm not gonna actually pick a team on this one because you already know I broke the curse their last game, but I'm not daring against these Ohio State teams, so I'm not gonna pick a team. You just know. You just gotta know. You just gotta know. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. But I'm not picking a team in this one. Just for my sake. Just for my sake. I'm not picking a team. Just like I don't even want to try it, right? Yeah, I don't even try it. But I do agree with you that Utah does have a really good defense. Ohio State has a really good offense. They got weapons at the wide receiver position, which is probably going to be the biggest task for Utah. But I've been saying this all year, and since I know Utah, I think Utah has a really, really good defense. And Johnny actually just took the words right out of my mouth. There's a lot of defensive talent out there in Utah division, but I can't pick them over Ohio. I'm not going to choose my pick, but I do think out of that whole division, Utah defense is head over heels over everybody else. And I just think that they have to beat this.
You are exactly right about that. But that's like saying I have this pig here who's the prettiest pig. like this one has earrings. He's prettier than the other ones.
I give you that.
Utah is the one team that plays defense in that conference, basically.
100%. No, you are right. But with that saying, I mean, Utah have been producing some really good defensive players last years that go to the NFL. Guys that are not named like highly up there, and they got Devin Lloyd, who's probably one of the best linebackers. I actually think he is the best linebacker this year, coming into the draft. And they always producing some guys like that a lot of people don't get to watch because they're all the way in the West. But I'm really intrigued to see how this plays out. I think this is my favorite game that I'm going to be watching. It's a Rose Bowl game. Rose Bowl games usually are some of the better games. So we'll definitely see with that one. And then our last game, Baylor versus Ole Miss. Ray, who you taking? Ole Miss is favored by 1.5.
I only take Mississippi in that game.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be close, like the score indicates to me at least. I think these teams are fairly evenly matched.
Yeah.
So that would be the Sugar Bowl, and that would be all our bowl games. And then we got the final playoff games. Johnny says, "Go Bears!" Oh snap! We're gonna see who's gonna get that one. I think it's gonna be a good close game. I will definitely be trying to watch that one. I think that's the last game of Saturday too. Yeah. So, man, why they got so many? They got 3 games on Saturday at the same time. I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't. That's the one thing I'll never understand.
I don't, and that's why I say, all right, this is what they should do. Again, have 2 or 3 games throughout Friday and Saturday, and then the last game of each one of them should be one of the playoff games. Do it like that. That way we can watch football and then get the hype into the playoff game. Why are you doing it like this? I don't understand their thinking sometimes. I don't.
I told you what I want to do. I want to have college football games early on Sunday. I want to play them bowl games early on Sunday and then back up to playoff games for the NFL to 4 and 8 o'clock.
Let's do that too. I'm
Dude,
down for that.
imagine that if this Saturday we had the playoff games and then playoff NFL games coming on afterwards.
Dude, yeah,
That would be awesome.
That'd be insane. That
It'd
would
be
be
great.
That'd be cool.
It would be great. It really
That
would
would
be
be
great.
Yeah.
It would be great, man. It really would be. It would be, and it would like be in it. You know what? Also, Jerome, I know how we feel about college football. Not everybody does.
Yeah.
But if you told them, yo, there's going to be football on all day, and you put a college game on in the middle of one of them other games, man, they may just sit there and watch it because there's nothing else on.
Put us on the committee. I don't care how old I am.
Yeah, I mean, like, just put them on, man. Like, I don't.
Johnny said, no, leave my NFL schedule alone. I hate late games as it is. I mean,
you know what? I hate Monday night games. I do. I hate it. You know what? I should say that. I like Monday night games. I hate it when my team's playing Monday night.
I'll say this. Yeah, you just had one too.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it.
I'll say this. I enjoy late NFL games. I do not like late college football games. I don't know why. I just love the college football games.
Like opposite, man. I was awake last night. What it is. I was awake last night till like after midnight watching the Oregon game in Oklahoma, and I enjoyed that, man.
I don't know. I'm not opposite with college. I like early college football games. I like late NFL games. I don't know what it is about it, but
I like football all day, all night. But I mean, I just think like late college games, like when I'm just sitting there by myself watching a game and no one's bothering me. I know no one at work is going to bother me. It's late at night. You know what I mean? Like because of my job, I'm on call a lot. Yeah. So, but usually after 8, 9 o'clock, unless it's really a crazy emergency, no one's going to bother me. And I can just sit there and watch the game and be left alone. I know. I says,
Ray, we're usually in sync. Not tonight so far. Oh man, that's funny.
I don't know, man. I just like I watched the Oregon Oklahoma game. Not to get too involved in it. I think Bob Stoops. He did a great job coaching that game last night. He really did. He keeps him Oklahoma program relevant because you could tell his love for college football in Oklahoma. So
correct. Yeah, I mean, hey, I wasn't sure about the game. Both teams didn't have their original coaches, so
they did.
It turned out to be a good game.
It did. It was a good game. The first half was a little bit like Oklahoma was just steamrolling them, but
the first half made me not even watch the second half, to be honest. And then
it got to be like somewhat interesting a little bit, like towards the beginning of after the fourth quarter started, it was a little bit interesting, and it wasn't that kept me in the game. It was just like it's college football. I was busy all day, sat there and watched a game, and I could just sit there. I was at Ryan's house, and I can't figure out how to work his TV. I watched it on my phone.
Really?
Yeah, I watched the game on my phone.
Now that's dedication, guys. That is dedication. All right, real quick recap on the current game that's going on right now. Pittsburgh is on 4th and 11. It's still 10-7, so they'll be punting to Michigan State. So we definitely see this. I wish I had actually, to break this news out there. I had an opportunity to go to this game tonight. I couldn't today because I actually got my tooth pulled, and I wasn't sure how today was gonna be. I wasn't sure, but I'm feeling well right now, so I kind of wish I went. But I'm still happy that I'm here with you, Ray. I'm always glad and happy to talk to you and Johnny and my boy Remy. I forgot your name for a second. Always have a pleasure talking to you guys, man. And Happy New Year's. I hope that you have a great New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, going to the 2002 season strong. Inside the Hatch is going to be doing some great things. As we always talk about, we're going to be going to the Senior Bowl this year once again. So that news officially out. Ray, I got to get you out there, man. Got to get you out there for sure. But Johnny Dean says Happy New Year's to all. Thank you, Johnny Dean. I definitely appreciate that. We're doing some great things. So definitely stay locked in with what we're doing with Inside the Hatches. Shout out to Air It Out Podcast. They had their podcast earlier. So check that out. If you want to see all that stuff, definitely go to our website, InsideTheHatches.com. We have all our content, all football stuff, InsideTheHatches.com. Also, check us out on Spotify. We listen to a lot of player interviews. A lot of players that we're going to start interviewing now is about to start ramping up again. So make sure you check that out on Inside the Hatches on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, as well as our YouTube channel. We're going to have a lot of those interviews on there as well. So check that out, Inside the Hatches. Make sure you hit that like button, like button and subscribe button. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell. If you want to watch us live, you put your live comments right down there. We answer them all the time. We love our live guys, like my guy Johnny, like my guy Remy, and everybody else that does come on here as well. Also, make sure you go and check out everything that we're doing on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, because we got some great content on there as well as breaking news and all that. I would like to say before we get off, Ray, RIP to the legend, Mr. John Madden, a big legend to everybody. He influenced me growing up to watch football, and I love when he says, and boom, there goes the tackle, or and boom. That was my favorite part of him. I just love when he gets excited, and he had very smart guy, and a lot of us that, a lot of maybe the newer generation, I know him strictly for the video game. If you don't know him outside of that, please go check him out. He was a great announcer. He was a great coach. Go check out some of his stuff. He has a documentary out right now that just came out right before his passing. So RIP, Mr. John Madden. Johnny said I will definitely check out those player interviews. Gotta run, guys. Great show. Thank you. Appreciate you so much, Johnny. Have a good New Year's, sir. Ray, before we get up, you got any closing remarks either on New Year's, John Madden, anything?
Yeah, well, just to follow up on what you were saying about John Madden, when I was a kid, there was 4 coaches in football that were, like, to me, head and shoulders above everybody else, and John Madden was one of those guys. 100%. It was Shula, it was Landry, it was Knoll, and it was John Madden. The Raiders were late years ahead of everybody else back there, along with the Pittsburgh Steelers, as far as drafting athletes and making them into football players. Mm-hmm. Al Davis, again, I know a lot of people only know Al Davis as the old guy who probably got in the way of the Raiders more than he helped them. But if it wasn't for Al Davis and Hank Stram and other guys like owners in the league, there would be no AFC NFL teams. They wouldn't be separate now, but they enhanced the league decades ahead of their time. And coaches like John Madden made that possible, because he made the him and Landry with the Cowboys and Chuck Noll with the Steelers. They made their shield like what they are now. I mean, the Raiders, let's face it, the Raiders have not been relevant as long as the Miami Dolphins, basically.
Yeah.
But they're still that team. Mm-hmm. Their team, their logo still means something. And honestly, no one is any more responsible for that than, of course, John Madden and
Al Davis.
They're the reason why that shield still means something, 30 years later. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's a different game now, but like you said, John Madden pioneered a lot of stuff with Al Davis, and just the fact that, not only a great guy that created the game Madden, that everybody here Madden, that's the first thing they think about is the video game. But this guy was an amazing announcer. He was an amazing coach. His players loved him. And I'm not 100% sure on this, but I heard that he had never had a losing record.
I don't know that for sure either, but it would not surprise me.
I heard that earlier on Air Out Podcast, so I'm going to check it out. But if that's the case, that's incredible. That's very incredible. Shout out to Chris for saying that that little spill. Hopefully it's correct. But yeah, I mean, again, if you only know him strictly on the video game, please go check him out. I hope that you get inspired. Maybe you're a young journalist or a young player or a young person trying to go into coaching. Please check out John Madden's documentary. Go check out some of his stuff. Listen to some commentaries that he had back in the day. He's very Till this day, he's still my favorite announcer.
I can tell you this: his record as an NFL coach was 103, 32, and 7. And of coaches with 100 or more wins, or 100 more games, he has the best winning percentage of all of them, 759.
Wow.
And the crazy thing is, Madden didn't burn out. He didn't get tired of coaching. He loved football. He couldn't fly.
Yeah, that's what
flying.
It was. Yeah,
he hated flying. And in the beginning,
he used to take a bus. He used to take a bus
all the years. Before that, he would literally have to get like slobber knocker to get on the plane. They would have to get him drunk, and he just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. He even when he was being an announcer, that was the biggest thing about him. Every time he go to a game, he would literally take a bus all the way to that game.
Yep,
all the time. So yeah, that's
one. He hated flying, and it is correct. He never had a losing season.
Wow, that's incredible.
That is incredible.
That is incredible. So we're
his worst record was 8-4.
Jeez.
You got to remember, back when he first started, they only played 14 games then.
Yeah.
But his worst records were 8-4.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. So shout out to John Madden, man. I hope he inspired you guys like he inspired me. And I hope that you guys continue to watch football because of guys like him and other pioneers, not only just NFL, but college football as well. But guys, we're going to end on that note with talking about that. But guys, keep it locked with us because, the new year is coming. It is the new year, 2022. We're going to have some great stuff. If you are into the draft, make sure you come and check us out because we're going to be really diving into the heart and the meat of the draft coming up. Guys going to have amazing and fun time with that. We're going to have some special guests on here. We're going to try to get some players on here. We're going to have it live right on here. So check us out. RPO Podcast is where you need to be, especially for the draft season. So thank you guys so much. I'm Jerome Jones. That's Ray Roberts. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Happy New Year's, and we see you in 2002. Peace.